with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, folks, first order of business, let's just get the minutes out of the way. I want to take a look at the September 3rd meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments, corrections, objections? All right, so that being said, can I get a motion to approve the September 3rd meeting minutes?
So moved.
All right. Moved by Lahota, second.
Second.
Second by Vines. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Unanimous. Before we get rolling with the rest of the agenda, just wanted to open up the floor to the public to see if the public had any comments on anything that's not on the agenda tonight. Not seeing any. Thanks for that. Let's just go into the first order of business, which is the sewage planning module for 270 South Bryn Mawr Ave. This is the Jewish Federation development. Westrom is the developer. Now it's called Arbor Square. Mr. Norsini, could you instruct us on what sewage planning module is and what we need to do?
Thank you, Mr. Fruman. So this is Act 537 planning. So really it's all about capacity requirements for the development. We've been having them do studies. This is the Planning Commission component of the sewage facilities planning module. Our group reviews all this, so we're asking you folks to sign this tonight. Not much to do on your end. That falls on us.
Okay, got it. We are going to take a vote, so I would like to make a motion, unless the commissioners have any comment on this, I'd like to make a motion for the Planning Commission to authorize me to execute Component 4A of the sewage facilities planning module on behalf of the Radnor Planning Commission.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yes,
So,
Commissioner Lahota.
Steve, this is in the RHM or it's in the?
It is. It does come to RHM.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions by the commissioners? All right, so I made the motion that's on the table. Can I get a second? Second. A second by Brubaker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, unanimous as well. Thank you. Next up, application 212752, land development, 1300 Eagle Road. This is the Eastern University Gymnasium.
Evening. Nick Canelli representing the applicant on this. The board has seen this plan previously. We went to zoning, as the board's aware. We received approvals for a steep slope and for a required number of parking spaces. We do have comments from the consultants. They are numerous. One comment we have to clear up is the length of the building, which could be a zoning issue. We're trying to work through that now with the township staff regarding the length of the building, and hopefully we don't have to go to zoning if we design the building differently. Basically what we have, as I mentioned, a number of comments. We're not requesting approval this evening. It's more of a sketch plan type review, and we're looking for comments from the board here to see if there's anything else we really need to do. As I said, you've seen this plan previously. There's really not much difference. It's a modernization of an existing building and athletic facilities. We're not increasing the size of the gymnasium. These facilities are about 60 years old, so like many schools now, they want to modernize for their athletic teams.
Okay, so just in summary, to echo what Mr. Cornelia just mentioned to us, they're not looking for what they originally came here for, which was preliminary land development. The review letters from the consultants are extensive. They're committed to working with the consultants to iron out some of those differences. Therefore, they're not looking for anything. They're not looking for a vote from us. Potentially, there's a zoning issue with the building length. Not sure that we can assist here one way or another. I think that's something that you know, you either have a zoning issue or you don't. We'll hear from you next meeting. That being said, commissioners, do you have any questions, comments at this time? All right. Yeah, we'll ask for public participation at this time as well. Keep in mind, they'll be back in front of us for land development, potentially zoning. Okay. What would you like us to do? Would you like us to make a motion to table?
Yes, please, table, and I will send the necessary letter extending the time for the Board of Commissioners to act on the application.
Okay, I'll make that motion. So in the matter of application 212752, land development 1300 Eagle Road, Eastern University Gymnasium, I'd like to make a motion to table. Can I get a second? Second. Second by Brubaker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks for your
Keneally.
time.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you all. All right. Next up, application 212777, land development, 1001 Eagle Road, 50 and 54 Ferriston Road. So this is to be considered a final plan?
Yes.
As far as our code, with respect to our code and minor subdivision?
Correct.
That was one of the waivers you're seeking. You received it by virtue of our code, already granting that.
I'm already batting 100, so yes.
Yeah,
Or 1,000, I guess.
And correct me if I'm wrong, is you're also looking for a waiver of right-of-way requirements?
We are, and if I can, Mr. Chairman, just briefly. So Bill Dion here on behalf of Valley Forge Military Academy. We are here this evening for both 50 and 54 Ferriston Road. If you were to drive out there, the addresses are 16 and 12. There's been some confusion of the addresses, and direction we've gotten from the township is
That
they
would have
want-
been helpful, because I did drive out there, and I could not find
Well, we weren't-
1001 or 50 or 50.
We weren't hiding them from you, but I guess there's been some confusion over the addresses out there. So the request was that we label them 50 and 54, so the addresses will be being changed as part of this subdivision.
Isn't 1001 Eagle Road also Oak Hill, the development?
No, it's not. But it's the back end of it, so the house faces onto Ferriston Road, so it's kind of like the rear yard.
Okay.
So it's, if you walk it, you can kind of get the feel that it's part of the property, but to drive by it, you'd never notice.
Got it, okay.
So I have with me tonight Phil Neal, who's with Howell Land Serving, so he can answer any specific questions. The property is in the R2 residential district. If you were out there and you were able to find it, it is currently improved with 2 homes, and the goal is to subdivide it so each home would sit on its own individual lot. That's the goal for this application. There are 2 review letters issued, one by Gilmore and Associates dated September 18th, which we can walk through if you'd like, and I think it touches on some of the items the chairman mentioned. And then there's also a review letter dated September 27th from, I'm sorry, that's Gilmore and Associates is the September 18th, and Gannon Fleming's the September 27th. And we were seeking tonight the board's recommendation for minor subdivision, which essentially acts as a preliminary and final. So it would be one time we would appear before the Planning Commission.
And as a point of information, you guys have cleared Shade Tree.
We have not seen a Shade Tree review letter yet, so I'm.
No, I think you came before Shade Tree.
Oh, if it did, I was not there, and so it was
Yep.
been before I got involved,
You were
so
approved
I'm
from them.
I'm doing even
I
better.
believe that was a separate project on
Yeah.
Oh, is
Ferriston.
it?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
been many of these Ferristons.
Yes, yes. No, that's all right.
Yeah, it could have been 16 Ferriston. That's the one that caused the confusion with the lot numbers.
Correct.
At the time of 16 Ferriston, they were trying to make the subdivided lot 12 Ferriston, or 14, no, it was 14 Ferriston. They're trying to make it 12, which was the same address as mine, and then I submitted that almost at the same time, which confused the township, and the township came back and told us to change it to 50 and 54.
Can everybody hear that, by the way? Or, I don't think I have a handheld, but there is an audience of 5 watching at home.
Yeah, so there was, the township had requested us change the numbers.
And your name is just for...
Philip Neal with House Surveying.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and there's a submission for 14 Ferriston Road that was requiring a new lot number. They try to assess it as 12 Ferriston, which is the same lot number as our plan, which started the confusion and the changing of 50 to 54. And that's why there's different numbers, and that was given to us
So
by
I
the
can explain
township.
this.
Okay.
So the The way Farriston is, the addresses were not following correctly, and we knew that this property was going to be split. So when they were doing 14 and 12, there would have been two 12s or two 14s. So at that point, we changed the addresses on the other side so that it actually works for everybody.
Is the enemy, Ms. Sherwin, is the enemy us or is it them?
No, the enemy is actually us. We
Oh,
are the
great.
ones that changed it
All right.
based on fire, police. You know, we can't have two of the same addresses.
Got it. Okay. Perfect.
Well, the last thing you want is the police or fire going to the wrong side of the block, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Having those numbers there.
Sure.
At least in sequence, it'll make sense.
We are unconfused at this point. So you're here primarily for right-of-way waivers, right?
Well, I guess, yes. I mean, the property's unique in that, or it fronts on, Farriston Road, also Radnor, the side yard's on Radnor, and then it also on Eagle in the rear. So from our standpoint, it does not really matter what we do as far as setting aside the cartway, the right-of-way, because ultimately it will be a line on the paper for us. But I guess there had been some past experience with the Radnor Road Farriston property because it's basically Farriston Road's a U, so it's on the other side. So we're trying to match that because we figured that's where the township would want. With regard to Eagle Road, I mean, we're willing to do whatever you want. It's a PennDOT road, so if we set aside the right-of-way, we suspect they're never going to accept it, but it's a line on a plan that we'll gladly show. We don't propose to improve any of the roads, so we're not widening Eagle Road, we're not widening Radnor Road or Farriston. It's not advisable, and I also think it's not desirable from the residents from what we understand. So we're proposing to leave them alone, but if you want us to set aside the right-of-way, we're willing to do that.
Mr. Phillips, I consider myself, and I'm only speaking on behalf of myself here, as somewhat intelligent. Could you explain to us what the right-of-way standard is? And I found myself a little bit confused on the review letter. Could you walk us through that?
I will try. The Farriston Road by code is a total of a 60-foot right-of-way, which would be 30 feet from center on their side of the property. I believe their plan now currently provides 20, for a total of 40-foot right-of-way. The Radnor Road would be 60 feet, which would be 30 on their side, and I believe that is what is provided at this point. And Eagle Road would be 80 feet, which the plan currently shows that it's 40 feet and the cartway is 26 feet. So they're all slightly substandard from what the code requires, but I don't know that there is a need or a want to expand those right-of-ways at this point because there's nowhere to go outside of these properties with additional right-of-way, unless Steve has something additional to add to that.
So I do have one question. So on proposed Lot 2, there's an existing sidewalk, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, that's correct.
And as it sits, it is outside of the right-of-way?
That's
Either
correct.
inside, usually they're part of the right-of-way, which would take away from your property. So that's one thing to think about, having that sidewalk in the right-of-way.
No, that sidewalk was, maybe you can speak to this, was built by our client for the Valley Forge military, purposes. In order to take it, you're probably gonna have to take more than the required right-of-way to incorporate that whole sidewalk. Then that would also put the sidewalk, I guess, onto the township's now property, even though it's our clients to maintain and all that, but.
I guess the main thing is, as part of this subdivision, the township doesn't want to see that sidewalk go away. And understanding that it's outside of the right-of-way, we lose some control there. So I would like to see a note on the plan of some sort that says the sidewalk will remain as part of this subdivision, so that there is no removal.
And that's perfectly fine. I mean, we have no problem with it. The intention is to leave it. Yeah, it's kind of like a paved trail almost. It's, you know, it's a little bit wider than a typical sidewalk, and it's macadam, so it's a little bit different. But yes, we would obviously leave it, and we're fine with that note or condition being part of any approval by the board.
No, it's Damon. If I can just speak up on this, I think actually what the township would like is if we could have a specific sidewalk easement.
I was gonna say that, because it'd be hard to track it as it got passed from person to person.
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Okay, got it. While we have you, Mr. Phillips, do you have any other comments?
I do not.
Okay. Mr. Drummond?
I do not have any other comments either.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioners? I know I'm going a little bit out of turn here. Let's hear from the public. Okay, so that being said, I'd like to make a motion. So in the matter of application 212777, land development, 1001 Eagle Road, we're going to call it 50 and 54 Ferriston Road until we have to change the numbers again, if we have to. No, I'm seeing no. We're sticking to it. So I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval, subject to the September 18, subject to the waivers from dedicating additional right-of-way for Ferriston Road and Radnor Road, as well as subject to a sidewalk easement. Can I get a second? Second by Golis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
and
much.
good luck.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
All right. Okay. Next item, application 212778, land development, 117 South Radnor Chester Road. This is a sketch plan. So you can come up, but before we get rolling, I would like to commend the applicant for coming in and allowing the Planning Commission to review the proposed submission. And certainly from my vantage point, and hopefully some others, we do like sketch plans. So sketch plans are generally not our bread and butter here, and certainly not for planning agencies the size of ours, but we do deal primarily with land development and zoning, hearing board recommendations and whatnot. But I would like to make a pitch to anyone, including our attorneys that who may be listening here or at home, that sketch plans are the way to go. And for us, it lets us guide the developers and all interested parties in developing in such a way that's consistent with our community character, our comprehensive land use plan and whatnot. And for the developer, the benefit is very clear. It gives the developer additional insight on what the Planning Commission might be thinking or what our decision-making process might be, as well as any issues that may come up in terms of our zoning review or land development. And ultimately, what the sketch plan process is designed to do, it's designed to save the developer's time or resources before the developer expends time on a formal plan and whatnot. So as a benefit to the applicant also, we are not going to be taking a vote tonight. This is a sketch plan review. We're going to ask questions, and we also can be more liberal and more suggestive. So that being said, Mr. Cornelia, sorry to make you stand here.
No
Lead us in.
A couple of you may remember several years ago, a plan for this property appeared before the board, and it was a proposal for 3 lots. It met with a lot of opposition from the neighbors. The township turned it down. There was an appeal filed actually in Common Pleas Court, That appeal was denied for procedural grounds that the actual applicant did not have standing. It was never decided on its merits. But in any event, the applicant went back, has had numerous discussions with the neighbors regarding this subdivision you see here this evening. Greg Lingo is now the equitable owner of the project. I'll ask him to stand up and perhaps give you a little information on those neighbors' meetings.
Thank you for the time and the consideration. I'm the owner of Rockwell Custom. We're the equitable owner of this property. We put it under agreement. There was a prior builder that had gone through the process that Nick just described. We came after that fact, after the court had decided. We had a couple of, we had many neighbor discussions, but we had 2 formal neighbor meetings at the Radnor Library. The first one, we showed a plan that wasn't too dissimilar from the one that was rejected previously, and it was kind of the overwhelming consensus that it was too dense to have 3 lots on this property. So we went back to the drawing board, came up with the 2-lot scenario, held another meeting with the neighbors, and I think we ameliorated all their concerns with regard to density concern and access to Radnor Chester Road. So we're excited that it was an interactive process, and we went to bat kind of for the neighborhood to reduce the density, and then we reworked our proposal with the current landowner to make it work kind of for us and for him as well.
I'll go over, I think it's a pretty simple plan, as you can see. I'll go over the consultant's comments here, and if you have any questions regarding the plan, I don't know how much detail we have to go into the actual plan. As I said, it's a 2-lot subdivision. Looking at the comments, first again at Fleming comments, looking at their zoning comments, 1 through 4 are just drafting issues, and we'll have to resolve that. My understanding is there's no impervious coverage issues, there's no building coverage issues for these lots, but we will have to go through and actually correct some of the numbers that appear on the plan. As to number 5, I do have a question for Roger, because he said it may require a variance for a retaining wall. Roger, I didn't see a site as to what part of the zoning code, or what was your thinking on that? I'm sorry to put you on the spot here.
Well, it's the construction of a structure within the setback, and that needs to be confirmed with the zoning officer whether
Okay.
that's required.
Yeah, because a wall, my understanding is normally been treated like a fence, which you can construct within the setback issue. But we'll talk to the zoning officer about that issue before we submit next time. The subdivision and land development comments are the standard ones that we see all the time within 500 feet of the property. There's talk about the right-of-way and the township perhaps requiring additional right-of-way. Do remember that Radnor Chester Road is a state road, so any additional right-of-way would have to be dedicated to PennDOT, and they would have to approve acceptance of the dedication on it. As to the general comments in Roger's letter, number 1 is they do intend to use the existing driveway, is my understanding, and we understand an existing features plan would have to be done if that's the case. And then, of course, a new deed for each parcel upon subdivision. Damon's comments, again, deal with the additional right-of-way. Most of it deal with the additional right-of-way, and again, it's a state road, and the township will have to decide whether they want to require additional right-of-way, and also, I believe, sidewalks and curbing, because again, that would have to be approved by a Department of Transportation. As to the number 4, there was an issue regarding site distances. My understanding is we do comply with the 275 feet, and we'll have to show that on the plan as to compliance with that. And as I mentioned, number 5 is perhaps curb and sidewalk. And then again, there was talk about the existing guardrail, and everything again would have to be approved by PennDOT. That would be required by the township. So I don't know if the board has any other comments, or if we want us to further discuss the plan itself.
So this is not part of the review letters. I have a couple of comments that are sort of off balance sheet. Number one, and I'm not suggesting that you do this, but has there been any discussion about sidewalk?
And that's the one, that was a comment that Roger had in his review letter. Again, I'm not, it appears to be a sidewalk to nowhere, it would be the common parlance. And I understand the township sometimes thinks that as developers come in, they add additional sidewalk. Again, remember, any sidewalk or curbing would have to be approved by Department of Transportation.
Yeah, so there's some significant difficulties in that site. And I think what's interesting about it is that, so there's the roadway, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's a significant drop-off from the roadway onto the lot, which would make a sidewalk difficult. In addition, and I'd like to confirm it, although it's not. That would be great. And also, please introduce yourself.
My name is Ed Nespoli with Hale Engineering.
Okay, thank you. So I think there's a bridge or some sort of a structure to the right of that plan, and then you're running into a fence line on the other side along Radnor Chester Road, which would make a sidewalk, shall we say, impractical, both impractical and extremely ambitious. But I'd just like to see some discussion about that. The other thought here is that you have, you're bordering to the right of this plan, you're bordering with the potential Radnor Trail extension, the proposed Radnor Trail extension. And I know that there's a proposal, and I don't know where it is in the triage process with whether it's shovel-ready or not, and I assume it's not, but I don't believe that the township would want any permanent access to this property or any easement to this property to access the potential Radnor Trail extension. However, would you consider, as the township builds this, this extension, granting a temporary construction easement, say 20 feet, for the township to enter and construct this extension?
I'll talk to Greg and the owner and see if that's feasible or not.
Okay, got it. Commissioners, what other questions do you have on this?
I'd like to add on to what you were just saying. Based on where this property is, and you commented it was a sidewalk to nowhere, but based on where the trail is and where the extension is, I'm not sure that it's we may be off by one or two properties, but we're very close. We're very close to being connected to everything. And to that point, I would just say a sidewalk would be, I think it would be beneficial if it could be convened based on the gradient and everything else.
This is probably where a plan that includes adjoining properties might be beneficial for us to review, and also perhaps a site visit in the future.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Chairman. I believe, Mike, you're right. It's one property away. So if you work with the property owner, page left, and figure out a way to develop a sidewalk, maybe behind the guardrail, you will be connected not only to the zebra crossing to the Radnor Trail, but also to the high school, which I'm assuming people who are looking to purchase this property are buying it for those two very, very strong assets. So I would love for you to consider
Sure,
that.
we'll look into that. Thank you.
Mr. Cornelia, we could share the plans with Mr. Lingo and your engineer for the proposed trail. That might help visualize some of what's being spoken of.
Just to clarify, there is a walkway into the Radnor Trail behind a guide rail across the street on Radnor Chester Road, right? To go to the intersection down the street.
Yeah, so the existing, as part of the TAP trail, we connected to the Radnor Trail, and that configuration is going to change somewhat if this trail does go through in its current state, which might be, if we meet with them and show them what the final plan is, that may help on their decisions. And we can share that with the board also.
Yeah, as I said, this is one of those few times where we would like to see features outside of the actual site plan, just to understand it better. What other comments do y'all have?
I guess just one thing briefly, and I just raise it because I'm familiar with that road from, although thankfully my time on it is largely gone because my kids are in college, but that road is nuts, like in the morning in particular. And I appreciate the fact there's only one driveway, but have you made sure that like where you're putting it is the best place to put it, given the traffic on that road, the way it backs up? I know there's not a lot you can do about that, but just make sure that, I would just, offer that, make sure that you've considered that and even looked at it in the morning sometimes to see just how bad it backs up on there. Because that light is just terrible.
This is probably a Mr. Drummond question here, but in a subdivision like this, a two-lot subdivision shared driveway, are we able to require that there's no turn into oncoming traffic, or no?
Turning onto oncoming traffic, you mean on Radnor Chester Road?
Yeah, we would want the residents to make a right instead of have the freedom to go left.
So
Yeah.
you're talking about restricting the left out?
Yeah.
That's always a possibility, but this will also need to be looked at by PennDOT.
Okay.
For any restrictions like that.
Okay.
And then it goes to our staff traffic committee, because that would actually be an ordinance amendment, restricting a turn on that road. So.
Yeah, to Commissioner Brubaker's point, traffic there is unbelievable during certain times, and you would hate to create more of it.
Well, yeah, but I wasn't necessarily thinking restricting their ability to come out left, because that might actually be the beneficial move for them. They probably would want to avoid going right out of there in the mornings if they could. I was just making sure that, like, which end of the property they put it on, in terms of giving them more, a little more of a buffer and maybe an easier out when they're coming out.
I'm going to unhinge my concern from Commissioner Brubaker's and just have it be a standalone concern. What other questions?
If you don't mind, I'm going to add to that real quick, just regarding if a possible restriction. The one thing that would be governed by would usually be by site distance. If they have enough site distance, usually there's not a restriction to that movement.
Got it. And that's obviously a PennDOT analysis.
That is correct.
Okay. Any other comments?
Just for what it's worth, that property, could you even put it at the other end or put the driveway at the other end? I mean, I thought there was a huge change in elevation.
Yeah. You were correct. It would be more challenging and possibly not meet PennDOT's requirements coming for site distance or PennDOT's requirements for driveway slope coming off of the state road if we switch it to the other side of the property due to the change in elevation.
So is the intention to basically reuse the existing driveway, maybe widen it to standards, and then seek out PennDOT approval of that plan, and then see where that leads us?
Yes, sir. That is the intention.
Okay.
Just to clarify, so they're saying use the existing driveway and then it will tee off of there somewhere. Is that what you're saying? Because I've seen the existing driveway and that obviously is in existence.
Here you go, Mike.
The existing driveway is approximately right here. Our entrance exactly follows what is out there currently, and then as you go in, then we widen it and meet more professional standards per your ordinances.
Okay. What other comments or questions do y'all have? Roger? Any thoughts?
The only thought I have is we requested an existing features plan and a grading plan, which needs to be part of the preliminary land, or the land development set, because it is a very challenging site, and there is a substantial grade difference on what would be the plan right side of it, adjacent to the bridge that goes over where the trail is. There's a substantial difference in grade. So there are site distance concerns. It's very steep getting down to that property, so that's why we asked for that, and that'll be part of the land development set.
Sure. And there's considerable other questions as we get into formal planning, right? Mr. Drummond, any other thoughts?
I would suggest that the applicant consider talking to PennDOT early in this process, just to get their feedback also on this driveway location and any issues they may see.
Got it, thank you.
Chairman, what is the time frame for the Radnor Trail extension?
I do not know. Mr. Norsini has stepped off the dais. I am aware that it's been, the concept has been approved. There were a number of choices, including a footbridge, which was denied, a small culvert underneath Radnor-Chester Road, which was also not the preferred option. They did go with a large culvert, which coincidentally also had the larger price tag. There's other issues, including environmental issues on the site. This is, and I may be speaking out of turn, this is somewhere in the $83 million capital budget that's largely unfunded, and I do believe that they're applying for grant monies. But there is a plan that exists.
There's no option for at-grade crossing?
I believe that was an option that they also rejected.
Oh, okay.
And this is based on watching the presentation in front of the Board of Commissioners, maybe a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And it was rejected, for the record, because of significant traffic. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And potential conflict with vehicular traffic and pedestrians.
Understood.
Commissioners, anything else? All right. Let's open this up to the public.
Sure.
Not seeing any public comment. We're not going to take a vote, as promised. Thank you for considering us as part of your planning process, and we look forward to preliminary and final plans.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. All right. And at last, application 212981, Radnor School District. This is the redevelopment of Ithan Elementary School. Before the applicant begins their presentation tonight, I just want to instruct not only our body, but also whoever may be in the room as well, is that this is not land development. This is not, they're not here to seek land development approval. They're not here to seek zoning recommendation. They have not been in front of Shade Tree. So how we're listening to this presentation is only in a very preliminary way. I'm hoping that the applicant will give us a 100,000-foot view. We're going to be limiting our questions here tonight because of the nature of this presentation. The applicant is not seeking anything in front of us. So Please.
All right. Well, I want to start off by thanking everyone for this opportunity to be in front of you this evening. My name is Ken Morris. I'm the Director of Buildings and Grounds. With me this evening is Brian Paulings, Director of Business Affairs, and Dan Bechtel, the Assistant to the Superintendent. Together, we represent Radnor Township School District, and our purpose here tonight is twofold. Number one, to give you a 1,000-foot view, a preliminary plan. Sorry, what's it?
It was 100,000.
100,000, okay, 100,000.
Thank you.
We'll take it up to 100,000. But to give you a firsthand look at our proposed new ITHN and kind of a conceptual plan, right? So we wanted to get that out in front of the township and interested parties. We know we have a lot of processes and a lot of approvals ahead of us, but we thought it was important to get this out and give everyone an opportunity to see it early on.
Just for the record, this is the first time you're in front of,
Yes.
outside of the school board?
Yes.
Correct?
Yep,
Okay,
in the
great.
community.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. The second purpose we're here this evening is we thought it was important also to get this out, an opportunity to get this out in front of the public. We do have an Act 34 hearing scheduled for next Tuesday, October 16th at 6 p.m. at the ITHN Elementary School, or Wednesday, the October 16th at 6 p.m., where we'll hold the hearing. It's a requirement of the Department of Education. It's part of our process. It's another step that we have to take. So it is an opportunity for a community to come out, express their like or dislike for the project, and also to ask questions. So it's a little bit about why we're here tonight. So I want to hand it over. We do have our design team. We have Julian Pelikanekis from Breslin Architects, as well as Hugh Cadzo from the LA Group. So I'm going to hand it over to them for the presentation. Thanks.
And going with the 10,000 or 100,000 foot view, going through this, we'll go through this quickly here. Why isn't this working? There we go. Okay, just, project background, site design, overview of the building design. Again, we're going to go through this pretty quick. Everyone's aware the ITHN Elementary was built in 1963. It's, for the factors you see up here, it's outdated. It needs to be upgraded to meet current standards. Right now, the space was designed in an old style that's not conducive to the current learning needs. That said, a lot of the things that are in the current school, which kind of have a history with the school, are actually being designed and factored into the current building design with the school. The current elementary school here, most everyone should be familiar with it. Cited right there, you have the existing two annex buildings that are there. What you see is the lighter colored was the library expansion back in the, believe the 90s. Current existing drive off of Clyde Road. Currently right now there's two separate lots where you can see the houses in the lower left, and actually the wooded area to the lower right is a separate lot as well. As part of the proposal you will see in upcoming months, those are all going to be consolidated into one overall lot for the project. This is the new proposed. This is would be the new school. Again, going to be constructed actually on the hillside, more or less on the hillside facing the woods. Where currently there's one parking lot, where the buses and cars meet. This will be dedicated, again, maintaining that current road off of Clyde. You'll have two different traffic patterns here. One will be the bus loop in the lower part of the project. The second would be add a parent drop-off loop that's wrapping around the school, and a new parking area more in line with what is needed with the school as it currently exists. Currently, too, the building, as you see, is it's different wings in it. There's central courtyards between the buildings in order to help with learning space. The two different, the tennis courts are still staying as they are. The kidney bean that's located right next to that tennis courts will be a dedicated kindergarten playground. What you see down below would be a dedicated upper grade playground. And the rectangular shape you see up there right now would be is basically an open field for play, which they currently have now, but it's undersized. The buildings, the annex buildings will be gone. The little field that's out front will still remain as well with the project. I'll just go through again, this is just the black and whites of the layouts here, and showing you that we had Brandywine Urban has done an extensive study on the site, locating the trees. We have an extensive inventory of the trees that are located on site. So those, again, you'll be seeing those in the ensuing months. Stormwater is a series of facilities, one above ground. Most of them are actually below ground in the rear, underneath the plateaus, which will be the play areas for the children, students. And this is a 3D view of the school, what it kind of looks like. And Julian will be making just a quick overview of the buildings to show you how the design is trying to actually tie in the wooded area located, which would be to your lower left there. So, Julian.
Thank you. Let's see if we can get this animation to play. How would you go back?
I got you.
Thank you, sir.
I might not be able to talk, but I got you.
So we have an animation, 3D animation of the project that we'd like to share with you. If we can get it to loop.
Okay, I'm not sure what. Let's just try one more time. What's that?
There you go.
It's just going to go to browse.
And then you just type in Breslin Architects.
Can you? No.
Breslin Architects page right there.
This one?
Down.
No, I was
And
saying.
there it is, the second video. There you go.
That one?
Yep.
All right, took a long way to get
Turn
there.
the valve. Sorry about the volume there. So this is the main promenade, which is separating the parent drop-off, which would be on your left here, from the bus loop. This is the approach to the main entrance of the school, which is located in between the facilities wing and the classroom wing. So we are now pulling out, the view is of the parent drop-off zone in here. This is a secondary entrance. This would be the kindergarten end of the building. This is the kindergarten playground. And we're going to keep pulling out. And this is the existing tennis court. Here is the emergency access road / pedestrian path, a walking path going around the playground and multi-purpose field. And the classroom wings with courtyards in between. These are 2-story spaces. In between each classroom wing, there would be a double-story lobby space looking out to the courtyards. The ADA accessible walking path down to the playground. And we're going to zoom in on, this is the library volume, art studio below. Here's an outdoor terraced classroom with an ADA accessible ramp up to the first floor from the ground floor area. And when we turn around, we are looking now at the mechanical access area and green wall, retaining walls. This is the cafeteria of the building, music rooms over here. And this is the loading dock. This is stormwater retention area. So the promenade will have direct access, a crosswalk up to a new ADA ramp to the existing multi-purpose field.
So there is space allocated for 14 buses. The parent drop-off can accommodate 54 cars within the parking lot with additional spaces. This is the main canopy entrance. And there's just a couple interior renderings here of the main lobby space looking out to the courtyard and playground and the woods in the distance. This is one of the interior spaces, the IDS room, which is the art lab with views out to the woods, the library space. And this is a view looking back at the school from the playground. So this is just an animation for you.
So one of the things we were looking at, you could see the emphasis.
Could you just step up a little bit? Thank you.
The emphasis on tying the features of the woods there. The woods right now are pretty much, majority of them are ash. We've, again, working with Brandywine Urban Forestry, we're looking at a forest management approach to trying to get those woods back and restored to be a little more vibrant than they currently are. So, and again, these are things we'll be discussing later during the process.
We just have some elevations here showing various materials.
Could you folks please speak into the microphone?
I apologize.
So the folks at home can hear you. Thank you.
So we just have some of the building elevations in here in the presentation. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I wanted to highlight the materials of the building would be brick and natural stone. And these are some views of the double height glass looking out to the courtyard space. It's kind of hard to understand without the context. So this is the view of the school from the parking lot. This would be the approach view. So you have the single story from the parking lot volume here, which would be administration spaces, a small group. This is the kindergarten end of the building. Multi-purpose room is on this end. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't talking into the mic. This is the multi-purpose room, the main entrance here. So this would be a pedestrian approach to the main entrance, the multi-purpose room on that side, and the admin on the left. This would be the approach from the parking lot. The parking lot all leads down to a pedestrian path, crosswalk to the main entrance. This is the view looking at that kindergarten entrance and a view down to the kindergarten playground. And then again, a view back looking at the school from the playground. And this is a view of the library and art studio, the outdoor terrace classroom, and the main lobby courtyard space. Yep.
So that's hopefully the 100,000 square foot foot view. Again, just a background on what you're going to be seeing in the ensuing months. We've been working over a year plus with the school board and stuff on that. And like Ken said, next Wednesday is the Act 34 hearing. So those who wish to attend, more than welcome.
So Wednesday, October 16th, and where is the hearing?
Eighton Elementary. Cafeteria.
In the cafeteria at what time? 6 p.m. Thank you. All right, great. Okay. So thank you for your presentation tonight. We really appreciate it. We realize that, in our agenda, normally we would ask a tremendous amount of questions, and of course you would also accompany this presentation with a submission, which you're not doing tonight. At my count, you had at least 4 saldo issues. You had 1 potential zoning issue. Maybe there's steep slopes. There's other things that we can get into tonight, which we will not.
No.
This is an exciting project. As a father of 4 kids, some of whom are in the elementary school and some of whom will be going to elementary school, I'm ready to redistrict them to this potential school. So I'm very excited about it, as I'm sure other residents are. But I did want to thank you for presenting tonight. We're not going to ask any questions. We would like to invite the public to participate if they'd like, with the understanding that a lot of this is subject to change. Please come up.
I think it's great.
And just your name and where you live, for the record.
Jane Rosen, 42 Haymarket Lane, Bryn Mawr. My only question to the architects, and it looks beautiful, is how do you plan to build this and keep the kids in school learning? What is that process? Is there a plan for, demolishing the school, then where do the kids go to school, then building the school? What's the process of that?
Yes, that's a question that we're actually, right now, we're working through that process because the desire is to keep the current school open, and working with the construction management group, Site Logic. We've had extensive meetings on orchestrating that. So every step is being, every angle is being investigated and how to make sure that will be uninterrupted with the kids going to the school.
It sounds like we're going to learn a little bit more on October 16th at Ithan Elementary at 6 p.m., right?
Yes, yes.
Expect that question to be asked.
Just to add on that, though, there are currently, I feel like it looks like there's trailers or pods or what you might call that are not part of the school that I assume are being used for instruction.
Yeah, one was actually at one time a classroom. The other one was a classroom. Now it's being currently used as a storage. And then both of those are going to be removed as part of the new project.
Any other public comment?
Hi, it's Mitchell Rosen, 42 Haymarket Lane. My question has to do with, so the entrance looked like it was Clyde Road. It's the same entrance that's there now. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I guess my question would be, given it's the same traffic flow, is there any plan to handle maybe additional traffic? Of course, you know that backup on Sprawl from Bryn Mawr Avenue all the way up, and the impact of traffic on that stretch of Sprawl Road?
Yes, we've actually done a study, and we have the comments, which we'll be reviewing with the district, the township staff and professionals to go through that. But yeah, there are steps to be made. So.
Are you going to be talking about that on October 16th as well?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good evening. My name is Mary Packer. I live at 27 Fairview Drive. My comments are more general. I came as a general planning board approach. I want to know, is there anything left? Is there anything left to build on? Do we have 3 more blades of grass? I find that we have got building fever. Every possible square inch is being sold. It's great for developers, but I think of all the people who've lived in this township for 40 and 50 and 60 years, and they moved here for a quality of life, and it is disappearing. From 3:30, sorry? You agree? If you agree, if you agree, you can come on up. If you don't, from 3:30 until 5 o'clock or more, Darby Paoli, Lancaster Avenue, Gulf Road, Eagle Road. I mean, it's nothing but gridlock. You can't get anywhere. We have empty storefronts in Wayne. And if we had stores there, I don't know that anybody could get there to pick up what they needed to pick up or get there in a timely fashion. We just seem to have gotten a little carried away, and I know it's an exciting place to live, and it's a great school district, but when I look at this, I think it's beautiful. Who's going to pay for it? Is the enrollment going up? What's it going to do to traffic? We just don't seem to be taking in the big picture, and it's, as a taxpayer, it's frustrating I live across the street from Eastern. Lucky us. I'll tell you right now, they'll tell you they're a good neighbor. Not always. They start practices at 6 o'clock in the morning. Traffic is awful. Kids, security people, speed. Everybody speeds, but when you're on a small street, it makes an impact. Each of these little micro neighborhoods that we have are impacted by each of these developments that we put in, and I don't see that we see the big picture. Those 45 condos we talk about at that parking lot by the AT&T building, I don't know where those people are going to go. Where are they going to go for dinner? If you want to take a reservation somehow in Wayne, you got to start like 3 weeks out. It just doesn't seem that the people who live here have a chance to avail themselves of what our community is really all about. And I had the pleasure of being at a soccer game in South Devon Fields on Saturday with some very little people, with lots of little games. But those streets that border South Devon Field, and you'll tell me that they knew what they were doing when they got there, but it's tripled, I'm sure, in terms of the cars that they have to deal with when they're trying to get out of their driveway to go pick up milk for breakfast or take their children out for breakfast. I just don't think we're being as mindful as we could. And so I've thought about this for a very long time. I hope we will slow down. Could we not make so many variances? And maybe someday I'll have to stand before you and ask for some variance, and you can say, ha, ha, ha. Now we can tell you no. But I ask you to please, just because they came to you for a variance doesn't mean we have to grant it. And it doesn't mean it's always good. So if we could just take a breath and enjoy what we have and try and return to a quieter kind of environment that allows everybody to enjoy our neighborhoods and our community, I'd appreciate it.
Ma'am, I didn't catch your name. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay. Mary Packer.
Okay.
And I live at 27 Fairview Drive.
Sure. Ms. Packer, I appreciate your concerns, and I really do appreciate you coming in front of us and speaking out on this. And this school, I think, to some represents progress, and to others it represents more traffic,
Noise, traffic,
and other things. I will say that Radnor's an interesting town. I mean, we're 20 years behind on our, or 10 years behind on our comprehensive land use plan. And our comprehensive land use plan is something that is mandated by the state that we review every 10 years. We're reviewing it now, luckily for you. And that's a very inclusive process. So I want you to invite you to participate in that if you haven't already.
There was a survey that I took 2 years ago, and I remember getting up, I think it was last January, and they were giving results. And really what I heard from those the survey results were they thought we were building too quickly, too fast. They don't want the architectural design of Wayne to change in a dramatic fashion. They were looking for, low-profile buildings. And so I heard people that sort of wanted to, again, just slow down and do it more thoughtfully and more mindfully. So I will, if they'll let me do the survey one more time, I'll be happy to do that.
I think the survey ship has sailed, but this is an interactive process with public participation that is requested and to a certain extent required along the way.
So tell me where I go.
I want you to first of all go to Radnor2035.com. I believe it's .com, folks.
All right.
And sign up for updates, number one.
Perfect.
In addition to that, and I would verify this with the township.
Okay.
But there will be a Board of Commissioners meeting on November 11th where our consultant will present the plan. We will invite public comment, hopefully at that time as well. And until that comprehensive land use plan is actually approved by our Board of Commissioners, there will always be an opportunity for you to
For
make
comment.
public comment as you are today. In addition to that, we love to see public participate in any development, and this is ground zero for that. So the Planning Commission is where all of that begins. In addition, our sister body, Shade Tree Commission, of which Commissioner Golis is a part of, also has a say in what the development looks like. They will have a say, and we will have a say in this particular development as well. There's considerable tree issues and other issues related to this property, and there usually are with
True.
all developments and all subdivisions. So come out, participate. I will say that in addition to that, the comprehensive land use plan is also a matter of conflicting priorities, right? We also have a housing shortage going on nationwide, and I think you're aware of that.
I am.
So this is where discussion is fruitful and it's welcome, and we want you to be a part of that. So
Well, thank you, and I will, barring any other obligation, I will show up for those meetings. And I thank you for what you do. It's a thankless job, and I understand that, but it's what we have ahead of us is very important, and trying to maintain the integrity of what we have in Wayne, I think, is critical. So I thank you.
sounds good, Ms. Packer. Thank you. And we'll be here every first Monday of every month in the foreseeable future. Any additional public comment? All right, Commissioners, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Lehota. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.